You may have questions for the person who you're going to be talking to. Perhaps you may feel challenged to even say, look, I have listened to what she has said, and I want to be part of what she's doing. Please, what can I do? Right? Take part in the change, walk in the change, and even at personal level, be a person who is effecting change at your home, at your school, at your office, at your social circle, and in very many dimensions which you operate in your daily life. So feel welcome, enjoy the book. If you are finished, please read the book again. Remember, we say in our world of reading that a book becomes better when you give it even a second reading and a third where possible. Right? Karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana. So hoping that we finish reading the book and that you'll be reading it during the events going by. We would like to recognize each of you even as we welcome our host. Remember, our host is KNLS, Kenya National Library Services. And we have the CEO representative who is just walking in right now, and we are going to see him. And when we see him, we'll listen to the words that we have, and then we start off. Karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana, karibuni sana. We are about to start now, and it's a beautiful day. Don't worry, it's not the sun that makes the day beautiful. It is you that makes the day beautiful. So don't worry about the sun. The sun is still out there. That's why the day is bright, despite the clouds. So, you know, everywhere we go, and we believe where more than two people are seated, that God's presence is there. And I'd like us, before we begin the event, who is willing to open the event for us with a word of prayer? Or I pick randomly. Any person who wants to open the word of prayer? Yes? Akuja simame hapa, atuombe tafadhali. By the mic is here. Come pick it. You don't want to pray? Do you people pray? You pray? Would you like to pray for us? All right, please. Welcome. Open for us the event to the world of prayer.
Let's bow our heads and pray. Everlasting Dad, I bless you for this wonderful morning. Thank you for protecting us, God. Thank you for the gift of life above all. Father, as we start our event, I pray that your love and care, your protection accompanies us to the end. As we thank your name, I pray, amen.
Thank you very much. You should clap for her because she's been very brave to walk to the stage and pray. So we are live. We are live on Trace TV. We are live on the Worldreader's YouTube channel. And we welcome you once again officially to the celebration of the International Day of the Girl Child, whereby we commemorate, celebrate, recognize, and even appreciate what is happening in the community through what our girls are doing in the society. So many things are happening. They are limitless, they are endless. We can't even put a number to what we are seeing happening in the society. Sitting down here, I can see that the girl-child representation is so high, which means there are so many changes that are happening. I may not ask what each of you, what Julie, John is doing, what Jambi is doing, where she is, but we will listen to only one story today. So as we celebrate this day, think about the people who you see in the society that are effecting change. In this case, boys, girls, doesn't matter. But for today, we are focusing on the girl and what is happening from one of our communities around here. So I welcome you once again. Thank you very much. At this stage, I'd like to invite our Regional Director, Worldreader East Africa, who will officially invite the host, and the host will kick us off on the event. Karibuni sana. Karibuni sana.
Good morning, everyone. We are thankful for this wonderful day that we have been able to come here together. We look forward to a very rich experience as we engage with each other. As Austin has mentioned, my name is Joanne Mwachi. I am Regional Director, Worldreader East Africa. It is only proper, before we start our event, to ask our hosts to welcome us into their compound. And I will invite Mr. Charles Nzivo to come and welcome us to this wonderful, wonderful library at a community, state of the art. You'll have a chance to have a look at it. Please come and welcome us, and then we can kick off the program.
So, good morning, everyone.
Morning.
Let me just read, because I have not conceptualized the names. I think I would be accepted to do that. To Madam Joanne Mwashi, the Regional Director, Worldreader East Africa. Madam Muthoni Muhonyo, Senior Manager, Content and Business Development, Worldreader. To Austin Okothi, Program Manager, Worldreader East Africa. To representatives from KNLS. To parents who have been invited to this occasion. And to the girls, let me call them girls because this is an event of girls. Good morning, everyone. Good morning. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Charles Nzivo. I'm the Acting Deputy Director, KNLS Technical Services. And this very morning, I'm very happy to be part of this big occasion, which is happening and being celebrated worldwide, where we are celebrating the girl child. I understand this is a global event where the world wants to appreciate what the girl has done in their respective communities. I want to appreciate the organizers of this event. That is the Worldreader, Ashoka, whom I understand are the joint partners in convening this important event, for accepting and deciding that this world event will be held at KNLS. I need to appreciate the objective of the conveners of this event. As I was going around and reading and conceptualizing on all what is entailed in this event, I vehemently noted the objective is to try and produce girl child or children who are change makers in society and who will also by the end of the day become lifelong social entrepreneurs. And these I've realized can only be actualized through reading. And I was able to note that the two partners, that is Ashoka and Worldreader, they have targeted children as well as parents because they have considered the two as key stakeholders and drivers to the kind of change that they want to bring. The many initiatives which they have initiated, including the use of e-content and also the launch of books by the girl child, is a very important initiative which will go along into encouraging more girls to become more effective, to become influenced and initiated as drivers of changes in their respective communities. I also need to appreciate the fact that Worldreader has been a very instrumental partner with the KNLS. In fact, sometimes you may not have known, because that partnership, which cuts across over 61 libraries across the network, through the use of digital platform as a catalyst of access to information, has also helped the KNLS board to also meet its objectives at this time of COVID, because we have used the e-readers in order to reach to the many youths in this country at this time of COVID, when people are not supposed to be meeting at common places because COVID can be spread in that. And I also need to also say that, as you also say, you are also using the e-readers to make persons who can bring changes in the community. I would also say that in KNLS, we are using e-readers in order to create e-leaders. Because when they access the digital platforms, they become more efficient, more effective in the use of the e-content, and that they become good e-leaders, not e-readers. The many e-readers that we have received from your esteemed organization has played a key role in KNLS, because it has meant the children, part of whom they are also the girl child, to also gain experience in the use of those e-readers. They have gone a long way into enhancing access to e-resources through the tablets, which contain a lot of content, and which you have donated wholeheartedly to impact to the youth in the society. They have also gone a long way into exposing many of our youth at their respective communities, more of whom are in marginalized areas, into the exposure of the electronic resources. And this is also touching to not only the youth, but also to the girl child. So mine is to welcome you to this important event. As we celebrate this event, we should also go back and encourage more girl children, more children in the category of the youth, parents, to be visiting the libraries, because our libraries have digital information provided by the Worldreader, which should be accessed, and we don't want to be keeping information resources which are not utilized. Because a library with the resources which are not utilized, then that is not the goal of a library. Because we know once you access these information resources, definitely they contain information which will make you better persons in your respective communities. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to say the many few words I've said and statements, which I know in some way may have touched somebody and impacted on somebody. Thank you so much.
Makofi. Yeah, everyone should clap like people who want to clap, because what he said is very important. Part of it that captures the importance and relevance of digital resources. The world is going digital, and what can the power of digital make you do? Digital makes you access more information right where you are. In the past, through these e-readers, you could not carry 200 books in one go. But when you go down here, like for example, KNRS Community Branch, and the other 62 plus libraries nationally, you should be able to see e-readers that have at least 200 books at the touch of a hand. Thank you very much. We appreciate you, Dr. Charles Njibo. As we celebrate the International Day of the Culture, do you now feel welcome by the host? Do you feel welcome? Karibuni sana. Thank you very much. As we continue welcoming you, we also recognize the representative and also the team from Ashoka. I'd like to welcome Vincent Diabo to come and speak to us and tell us who Ashoka are, what they do, what they stand for. Karibu sana, Mr. Vincent. Makofi.
First of all, let me just find out whether I need this or am I audible enough? Okay, sometimes this confuses me a bit.
For the purposes of those online.
Online, okay, good. Thank you so much for your welcoming remarks. I personally have a very strong connection with this particular library. Growing up, I think the only place that my dad ever took me the first time was the library, this particular library. And you guys, if you don't know, I think back then, and this is not so long time ago, it was either you go down Uhuru Park or find other areas of having fun. But for me, the time my dad brought me here, I think, marked a huge difference for me in terms of my learning experience, my growing up experience. That was the beginning of my journey with books, my love for books. And at that time also, one thing that I noticed about the library is that it was not just a place for reading. I mean, primarily, that is what it's supposed to be for. But it was also a very good point, a very good place to meet other people for connections. There used to be a joke my mom used to tell us. We partially took it as a joke, but I think she was serious. She used to say, if you want to meet a good girl, find someone from the library. But I think also it was just to encourage us to make sure that we are always in the library. Thank you. My name is Vincent Otieno Odhiambo, and I work with Ashoka. I lead Ashoka East Africa team. And for the Ashoka East Africa team, those who are here, please just raise up your hands so that we can see you. First and foremost, I want to thank our partner, Worldreader, Joan, for having mooted this idea to celebrate the International Day of Agriculture 2 days in advance, but also use it as an opportunity to amplify reading and also identify the proper place for that. And also to celebrate change makers. And I want to believe that everyone who is in this room and has had an opportunity to read Rebecca's story, you already see that you are change makers. Just by a show of hand, how many of us believe that they are change makers? Let me see. Good. We have almost 99% affirmation that we are change makers in the room. So the conversation about change making and what Ashoka is about is not going to be strange. But also let me just recognize the presence of all the other partners who are here. And for those of you who have had time, spare time to come and join us. In particular, I want to mention Tim from Tembea School. Tembea is the school where Rebecca is from. And Tembea is one of Ashoka's Changemaker schools. We have a total of 15 schools in East Africa that we have selected as Changemaker schools. And also Jean from Nova. Nova is also another Changemaker school. And these are Changemaker schools because they have redefined how learning happens, how teaching happens. So that their culture, their process, and their systems support young people to grow up, not just seeing themselves as change makers, but also practicing change making. And I also want to recognize Rebecca. For Rebecca, I think that is extraordinary courage, and I think it's good for us to mention it. And I know we'll meet them here during the panel, but also Sophia. I met Sophia 3 years ago. She's, for lack of a better word, I can just use the word certified Ashoka Young Changemaker for the work that she's doing. And it's amazing because her story tells us change making is just not within your locality. You can think about it in far-flung areas. And also for Sophia, I think that is extra courage to come all the way from the US. And of course, you're connecting with your roots, I mean, quite inspiring. Also, Jambi is an inspiration. I know she will be speaking here, so she will be moderating this conversation. And I just wanted to mention that we recognize you and also your story. The story of resilience is a story that should be told, should be heard. And I'm sure that all the girls and even the men who are in this room will find inspiration in it. Mary, thank you also for coming from a very huge network. Mary, I'm blanking on the name of the organization, ECPAC. Yes. Education for all children. So a very good partnership, should work very closely with Worldreader. For those of you who don't know about Ashoka, just 1 minute about Ashoka. We are a global organization that has supported the field of social entrepreneurship for the last 40 years. And our support has come in various ways, but primarily we find and support men and women who have not just ideas, but are implementing ideas that have the potential of changing the way things are, changing systems. And so what we do with them is that we support them to scale their innovation, and we support them also to grow their network. And that's how the field of social entrepreneurship came to be known, because of the work that Ashoka has been doing over those years. And we are present in 90 countries with about 4,000 leading social entrepreneurs. In East Africa, we currently have close to 90 social entrepreneurs as Ashoka Fellows, and spread across Kenya, Uganda, Rwanda, and Tanzania. And just some examples to give you a glimpse of the kind of men and women in our network. You know, someone like Anne Jogu, who spearheaded the sexual offences bill through her work with Creole. She's an Ashoka Fellow. And I'm going to be very biased. I'm going to mention the lady social entrepreneurs in our network, so that can also serve as the weaving thread that we had in mind in terms of making this day International Days of Girl Child. We also have Ingrid Munro, the founder of Jamii Bora. She's also an Ashoka Fellow. We have Dr. Florence Wambugu of Africa Harvest. We also have Akiba Mashinani, the founder of Akiba Mashinani. Also Florence, she's also called Florence. At one time she was, I think, being billed as a potential either governor or deputy governor. I wish we did elect her. But just to mention a few of social entrepreneurs that we have in our network. And so with these social entrepreneurs, what we do, in addition to supporting them, we also learn from them, because these are people who figured things that we hadn't figured as an organization, or also we're seeing the world hadn't figured, how to solve for problems in ways that addresses them not just at the surface level, but at the systems level, ensuring that the market dynamics are changing, ensuring that there is a new sort of culture, mindset shift, ensuring that people who are at the bottom of the pyramid also access services, to name just but a few areas that they influence in terms of systems change. But we also learned a few things from them. The two most important things that we learned from them, let me not say most important, but among the things that we've learned, is if you look at their journey, they all started their journey early. So for them to be where they are as leading social entrepreneurs, recognized globally, the moment of that journey was seeded when they were young. And that is the reason why, as Ashoka, we are now investing in making sure that every young person begins to self-identify as a change maker by getting opportunities to experience and to practice change making. The other lesson that we also learned from them, and this is very important because if you read Rebecca's book, with this context, you will see how this is manifesting. We also learned from them that there are very particular skills that one has to acquire to really excel in that direction. And one of them, the foundational skill for this is cognitive empathy. So cognitive empathy, read Rebecca's story, you will see that is coming out, is that ability to think beyond yourself. You can only get to act in other people's interests if you have cognitive empathy. And looking at where the world is currently, there is a lot of division. There is the us versus them. There is, whichever way you look at it, there is us versus them. And one of the ways of addressing that is cognitive empathy. So we look at cognitive empathy as an antidote for inadequate love that we're seeing across the world, nationally, regionally, continental-wide, and also globally. The other skill that we see in our social entrepreneurs that they manifest is sophisticated teamwork. And this is basically being able to think beyond the silos, think beyond your sector. It is very unlikely for anyone who's just walking into the room or reading Worldreader and Ashoka and Trace, by the way, to understand the connection. It is not easy. But it's because I think the three organizations also, we have come to this realization, and also KNLS, to come to this realization that we cannot successfully accelerate change and bring about the kind of outmatch challenges with solution when we operate within our silos. So it is always looking for areas that we have synergies and connecting and collaboratively seeking a long-lasting impact. And so that kind of teamwork is also an antidote for inadequate or the hoarding of power, where people feel power has to only reside in this place. Read Rebecca's story, and again, reading is important. Read Rebecca's story, you'll see the moment she realizes that this is a challenge, the first person she goes to is the mother. Then she goes to the teacher. Then they go to the elders. Then they write a letter to the president. So that is collaboration, getting to understand that it starts early. Because you see powerfully, and you will hear the stories of Sophia and even Jean, how this also manifests for them. And this is not just for now. I mean, this is something we need now and also beyond. The other skill that we also notice with them is creative problem solving. And creative problem solving doesn't come easy. It comes through an intense understanding that problems are interconnected. If you understand how systems operate, this happens, then this will happen, then this will happen. So creative problem solving is thinking, yes, there is need for us to have so many schools, for instance, get access to school. But then what is it within that policy and legal framework that is stopping everyone from accessing school, from accessing education if they need, or even library? And we need to start thinking, how do we get this? And that is probably the reason why we have the mobile libraries, trying to solve that, right? So it is creative problem solving, looking at the entire system. Where is the problem and how do we address that? So we learn a lot from these social entrepreneurs, and that is what really makes it all change making. So For me, I think it is an exciting moment that we are looking at this together with Worldreader. It's a partnership that was also crafted at a global level. I think the idea for us is to collect as many changemaker stories as possible. I think we're targeting 20 for now. And use these stories to, of course, encourage reading and also to get, to inspire other young people to be changemakers. And for adults who are seated here, if you're a parent, if you're an uncle, if you're an aunt, this is also a challenge to all of us. If you read Rebecca's story, and if you hear the stories here, and also if you reflect upon our own journeys, you will notice that there is a point in time where an adult steps in to move barriers for you, whether it's just through encouragement or making sure that you access something. And I started here by talking about my dad and my mom. My mom would say that to just make sure that if you guys are getting interested in, getting into relationships, then go to the library. And my dad, if you're done Uhuru Park, go to the library. Go find a place to read and all that. So there is always a place for adults to play. So I think it's a challenge for us, all of us adults, and those of us who are coming up, to try as much as possible to move barriers for young people who are stepping up. Young people who are finding their confidence, young people who are finding their power, young people who are growing in this sense of freedom that everything and anything is possible. And when we do that, and we bring other people on board, that's how we will create a world where everyone is a change maker. I'd like to end here by quoting Angela. And it's quite a bit of a controversial statement that she says, Maya. And so I will censor, but I find it really appropriate. The first time I was talking to my pastor, I was giving a talk, and I said, I need to quote this, in as much as it has the B word in there and the A word in there, but I think it's appropriate. It stirs people. So she says, I like it when I see girls step out and grab the world, like do stuff, because life is censored. So go out and kick censored. Please clap for Angela Mayo. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Wana Vincent. Do you feel inspired? What point did you raise about empathy? That if you have to be a change maker, it has to go beyond you to 2 people, 3, 4, then the number keeps increasing. And in empathy, what happens? 3 things. 1, purpose, right? 2, skills, and then 3, learnings. And of course, he says that change making begins at self level. Doesn't matter if you begin, whether you are young or old. Just think about what it is that you can do with somebody, something which you can do with somebody, and then once you pass the same level where you were the previous day, you'll see things are different here. And that's what Vincent has just captured. And he said that for him, change making began first when he began his walkings into this library. So combine all resources necessary, which also includes information. And information, as you're told, is power. Information gives you loads and loads of power. Thank you very much, Vincent. Very inspiring. And we should clap for him again, because what he said, and I hope, and I'm happy to see that from where I'm sitting, a few of you are taking down good points. Be encouraged. Be encouraged to even just share, maybe with somebody at the end of the day. Right about now, before we go into the panel discussion, whereby we will have a moderator and our 3 change makers here on stage, I'd like to invite the regional director, Worldreader East Africa, John Mochi, so that she can tell us who and what Worldreader does. Clap for her as she comes to stage, because as you can see today, we have been privileged to see with people with very rich knowledge and expertise. Karibu sana, John.
I will try and make my statements brief, because we are here to learn and to listen to our change makers. Vincent, like you, I have a long history with this library. My father used to bring us here, my sister and I. We were 5 years old. So we have seen this library grow from the small unit that it was up to what it is now. And it's not surprising then that I work for a reading organization, and my curiosity around technology actually brought me now to digital reading. A little bit about Worldreader. We are a digital reading organization working with and through partners to implement programs. We have our partners present here. KNLS is here, Ashoka is here, Trace is here. We use a very simple approach. It's called ABCD, literally. A stands for access. We create content and make it accessible in an easy manner. Your mobile phone, the e-readers. Many of you have this resource, but we are not using it to its full potential. What we do is create access to, for you, content that you would not perhaps be comfortable accessing elsewhere, or you may be far from a library. This comment especially goes to young ladies and young gentlemen. Today we focus on the young ladies. Sometimes you have questions that you want answered, but you don't know who to ask because of our cultural background. But you have a phone. It is possible to do research in a responsible way and access that knowledge that you need. So A stands for access. B stands for books. We make sure that you have books. There are so many different genres. We have books for children, we have a gender collection, we have a women in tech collection, we have a sports collection. There is so much content, so rich, so well curated that you can access. C stands for continuous engagement. Having a gadget and content is not enough. You need to engage in different ways. When we are working with young children, we engage with parents so that we are giving them tips on how to use books in the home front or at household level with their children. Remember, we all come from cultures where it is the teacher's problem to worry about how the children learn. We are shifting that paradigm and saying parents need to be much more engaged. And finally, D, we are talking about data, the back end. What is the behavior of reading? What is the behavior of change? Now, our partners, we provide the books, the content, the access. But we need partners to come on board in order for change to happen. So when we work with partners like Ashoka, they bring to us their change makers who can access this content. So young ladies, you have the app now, you can read whatever it is you want to read. There is nothing more powerful than making an informed decision. You are informed about the decisions you're making. Our partners, KNLS, give us a space like this. Libraries are no longer those very quiet places that nothing used to happen. It used to be a bit dark. The adult section will be quiet because we are adults and we need to read in a quiet space. But I promise you, visit any children's section of a library now. They are vibrant spaces with color and activities and excitement. And in fact, there's something called inside voice and outside voice, so that there is engagement without disturbing everyone else in the library. When we connect with partners like Trace, they help us amplify the message. We can't do it on our own. We can't do it on this platform alone. We need partners to help us amplify the message about the digital resources. So today you have learned about ABCD, and you have learned about our partner approach. Take advantage of it. The resources are free to use. So you have every opportunity to engage. There is no restriction other than the bundles, which you can buy, or which you can get Wi-Fi from your public libraries. I know that there is Wi-Fi in public libraries nowadays. Thank you very much for coming to be with us. We thank the online community as well. I know people were reaching out and saying, but the event hasn't started. We are live now. Thank you for joining us. Please stay with us to the end as we celebrate these young change makers who are here today. And today specifically, Rebecca, the book that she has written, we will be hearing a little bit more about it. Thank you very much, Austin.
Like we said, today we are intentional about everything, including clapping. So let's clap again. Yeah, let's be intentional, even for small things like clapping, like reading. And I think we have more guests who maybe came in after we had begun. Karibuni sana. Feel free, today is the celebration, though early, of the International Day of the Girl Child. Karibuni sana. This is the KNLS Ekima Auditorium. Community branch, Nairobi. Earlier, we said we are reading a book called Rebecca the Maasai Changemaker, or at your own time, later, when you get into Booksmart, you should be able to see the same book in Kiswahili, Rebecca Mwana Mageuzi wa Kimaasai. Please read and get to see what has been mentioned in the power of change making and behavior change, from one person to the next person, to the next person, until we are able to involve all the relevant stakeholders in the community of change making. Remember, change making may not happen at self, but at a community the effect is bigger. Ordinarily, you must have heard this saying that says, if you want to go first, go alone. But if you want to go far, go with, you have to go with people, of course, walk as a community, because when you are many and when you are together, then you stand. We'd like to switch gears into the next event, and here I'll invite the help of Brian. Brian, thank you very much. You may come on stage so that you can help me invite our focus of the discussion today. We are going into the panel discussion, and we will be listening to this very beautiful story in the change-making journey by one of our girls. And I'm going to call them out one by one so that they can feel welcome and come here on stage. So I'd like to invite first our moderator, and I'm very sure all of us know her, and if you don't know her today, it's a beautiful opportunity to know who she is. She has been in the media industry for many years, and her work speaks for itself. I don't need to stand here and speak for that, because you are going to see her and she's going to tell you all about herself. Jambi, karibu sana. Clap for Jambi as she comes to the stage, because she is going to moderate the journey of change making. Karibu sana, join us on stage. And now our focus of today's story. You've read the story, it is beautiful, and I'm sure you've read it more than once. Right? Rebecca, come on stage. Karibu sana, Rebecca. Rebecca, come on stage. Clap, come on, clap. This side not clapping. What's going on? Are you not happy? Rebecca, karibu sana on stage. And I'd like also to be joined by, of course, our other, yet very important components in change-making journey today, Sophia and Jean. Karibuni sana, welcome on stage. So, panel, if you're watching us live from home, Trace TV, or even on YouTube, listen to this beautiful story, and feel free to also send in your comments, which we can also share as the panel continues the discussion. So, karibuni sana. Brian, karibisha wageni wetu. Brian. Meanwhile, I have this registration form with me. In case you haven't registered, please just let me know by hand. I bring it to where you are, okay?
So I don't have much to say, but to welcome you all. My name is Brian Chiswali from Ashoka, East Africa. I lead the youth program. And it's a pleasure to have and continue working with young people and identifying young change makers. We have Jean, we have Sophia, and we have Rebecca. I think I'm just going to leave it there to allow them just to take this moment because it's their moment. So ladies and gentlemen, let me just pass it over to Jambi.
Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. That sounds more like it. My name is Jambi Koikai. I am a broadcaster by profession, and I'm currently working at Trace Radio, East Africa. And I'm also a survivor. I have survived a very grave disease, a reproductive healthcare issue known as endometriosis. And I've been through 21 surgeries. Most of you have followed my journey. And when I got a diagnosis, the first thing I did was to read, because there was no literature in Kenya about the disease. And so I did a lot of research. And that is how I actually found doctors who were able to treat me out of this country. And it was a long journey, and one that, you know, I'm truly thankful to God and to all the Kenyans who supported me. And I was in hospital for a year and a half, and I came back in 2019 and back to work. And I'm grateful for the opportunity to be here today. And as we celebrate the International Day of the Girl Child, it's important for all of us to be vocal about menstrual health issues that are affecting so many girls. Endometriosis is affecting 1 in 10 women, and that is in the West. In Africa, we have no statistics as yet, but the numbers are quite high. And because we are bound by tradition, cultures, and taboos, it's important for us to be vocal about these issues. I suffered a disease that ate my body and affected my organs for 20 years in silence. And not one doctor could diagnose that problem until it hit my lungs. And every time I was on my period, my lungs were collapsing. It's tragic. And so many other women are battling this disease in silence. But thankfully, women now have a voice. Young girls are now speaking out and saying, I have period pain, it's not normal. And as we celebrate this day today, I take it upon, and I would like to challenge each of us to speak about these issues. And when girls are talking about periods and, you know, they say that they have period pain, please advise them to see a gynecologist. I know it's not about me today, it's about these 3 beautiful ladies who are doing amazing work in their communities, and we're here to hear about their stories. But I'd just like to welcome you once again. And if you're online, if you're tweeting, and if you can see this, today is the International Day of the Girl Child, and may you be inspired, may you be encouraged. They have amazing stories, and as young as they are, they're making formidable change in society. I'd like to invite, do we have another microphone, or it's just this one? Oh, okay, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, and to all the partners this morning, thank you for organizing this event. And to the National Library, this space is beautiful. My sister used to come here, my younger sister. She loves reading. I love reading. It's just that I didn't spend a lot of time at the National Library, but I used to come and pick her up. That was my connection with the library. I used to come and pick her up and see the library. And it was a small space, as everyone has said. And I think it's important for us to encourage other people out there to come to the library and see how wonderful it is and the resources that are here. And for us to also continue building the reading culture. It's important for us to read. Books are the windows to our soul and the windows to the world out there. Yeah? So pick a book and read. Thank you so much. And I'd like to invite my first guest on the extreme left. Please tell us your name. I wouldn't want to say your name for you. And tell us what you do.
Hi, everyone. My name is Sophia Andrews. I'm 19 years old. I'm an Ashoka young changemaker from the United States. I'm currently living in Kenya, however. I've been here for the past few weeks and will be here for the next few months on a gap semester. I go to American University in Washington, D.C. I'm an international studies major, but I decided just to take a short break from university and move back here to Kenya to work with my organization, which is titled Ngoma Kenya, where we focus on arts education, youth empowerment, and girls' rights. And I think of the three, I'm a performing artist and a dancer, but as much as I love arts education and youth empowerment, I understand how important it is that we fight for the rights of girls, that girls are given a voice, that they're given a say, especially as we celebrate International Day of the Girl this weekend. I love that I get to be up here with such powerful, powerful girls, and I get to work with such powerful girls. And so, I am so thankful that I've been empowered by wonderful women, not just in the States, but all around the world, which is why I'm so adamant about empowering the next girl and turning around and, passing that torch so that way girls all over the world know that, they're empowered and they have it in them to make a difference and to make a change. And so, just celebrating this weekend and International Day of the Girl, I think it's so important that we understand girls just aren't the future, we are the present, and it's important that we listen to girls, we respect girls, we support girls most importantly, and that we give them this space to really, unleash their inner change maker and really find what they're passionate about and how they're going to make their mark in the world. So.
Wow, thank you. Please give her a clap. And that's Sophia. Young lady, please tell us your name, your school, and a little more about yourself.
Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to meet you all. I thank God for this far, and I appreciate the presence of each one of us. So, my name is Rebecca Naisimoi. I study at Tembea Beats Academy. And a little bit of myself. I am a Maasai. I've been brought up in a Maasai community where we fully depend on livestock for a living, for food, and for everything. So, keeping animals, we do migrate to places, and now that the weather has changed, there is drought, we have to keep moving, and as an educated girl, I have to come up with a way of trying to ensure that rains do rain, and that my community tries to survive with the animals, and that rains keep on raining so that our animals stop suffering. So, having been educated, I'm trying to come up with ways of ensuring that my community at least have the animals or keep the animals alive and they stop migrating to places. So I'm trying to create awareness to everyone around to ensure that people plant trees, to ensure that people stop polluting the environment for our livestock to survive and for worlds to be at peace. Thank you.
Wow. Clap for Rebecca. Last but not least.
Hi everyone. My name is Jean, and I'm 18 years old. I've actually just started university this past week at the University of Nairobi, but I was previously at Nova Pioneer, which is an Ashoka Changemaker school actually, and I am a founder of a company called Tabasamu, which is aimed at collecting old and used Ankara waste by local tailors, and we use that to upcycle things like t-shirts, hoodies, and we also make tote bags to just make them look a bit more fashionable, but also save the environment at the same time. And through that, or through our profits, we usually donate to different children's homes around Nairobi. For we also try to empower the next generation and let them know that they are the ones to take us to the next place where we are going to. Yes, and I'm very honored to be here with these three ladies.
Thank you. So now you've met Sophia, Rebecca, and Jean. And Jean, since you have the microphone, what inspired you to, start your company and to be a transformative change in society?
I think it was the environment I was in, because in high school, we were really challenged to think about what can you do to bring a change into the country or to the world at large. And being in that space or that environment, I always thought, what can I do? What can I do to bring a change to my society? And so when our uniform was changed in 2017, we were rebranding from Nova Academies to Nova Pioneer, that's when I got a light bulb about reusing the clothes that we used just for a year to recycle them to people who do not have clothes. So that light bulb and being able to share it with my mom, share it with my teachers, and then being able to encouraged me to make this bigger than I can imagine. That is what inspired me to keep going. And
Wow, and that's amazing. So you used your old school uniform, sparked a light bulb, and you started a company.
yes.
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that amazing? You know, sometimes we think of such grandiose things. We think, wow, we want to change the world and, you know, we have to go to Mars or we have to go to the moon. And sometimes all it takes is your old school uniform, you know? So you probably are sitting there and thinking, how will I make change? It's right in front of you. You don't have to think that far, you know? So take that as a challenge. And to the amazing Rebecca, I think she's the youngest of us all. But you're making such a huge impact in your community, and especially coming from the Maasai community, where, first of all, women have not had a voice, you know, historically. And here you are as a young girl, you know, and coming from the history of the Maasai community, where young girls are married off even before birth. How have you been able to speak, especially to the elders, and they listen to you?
So I was always inspired by my mom, and I remember that I was in a public school, and she always encouraged me to have hope. She always encouraged me to keep moving.
Yeah.
So at class 5, I got sponsored by Beats for Education, who took me to a private school. And at the private school, I could see people doing really great, and I wanted to be like them. I wanted to also be that important person.
Yeah.
And learning was so fun to me.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed reading, and I could write stories. At the high school level, I was inspired by my teachers. I was inspired by the director of my school, Debbie Rooney, who encouraged me to come up with a project. She encouraged me to talk to people around my community, encourage them to plant trees, and avoid polluting the environment. So when I went home, I could tell my mom, what can I do? How can I approach these elders? How can I talk to them, to support me? And my mom could tell me, just go talk to each of them, meet a man, greet him, and try to have a few stories with him and tell him about the nature and the environment. So I started by talking to 5 men, including my dad, and I could tell them, now that there is drought and our livestock are dying and we are starving, what is this that we can do to ensure that our animals survive? And they're telling me, oh, now that we educated you, our girl, encourage us on what to do.
Yeah.
Take us forward. So I encouraged them we started planting trees around my home, and I could walk around to churches. I could collect my fellow youths whom I thought could maybe support me, talking to other women in the village. And now that women could communicate less, I had to talk to the youths, to talk to the girls who were also educated, and they really helped. My teachers helped. I collected petitions and went forward, took it to my member of parliament. Yeah, and that's how we did it.
Wow, Rebecca. You see, sometimes it's just an idea and the sacrifices of the people that came before us that will lead us to the places we're supposed to be, and for you to have that power to go back and convince them to also be part of the change. Isn't that beautiful? Yes. Isn't that amazing? Very. Yeah, and especially in communities that have such historical backgrounds of, not being able to even give women a voice, and now giving such a young girl a voice. I think that's just powerful. Yeah? Give another clap to Rebecca. I think that's just powerful. And now to Sophia. You come from America, right? It's a totally different society. And you're here in Kenya. And, it's more, I'd say it's a more liberated society in terms of information, awareness, and in terms of young girls understanding their rights. But you come to Kenya and it's a totally different environment as well. How has that been for you to adjust and pass your message across?
Yeah, I wouldn't say realistically that it's too different. I would say that, the conversations, the spaces that I'm in America and in terms of Kenya, when we're talking about, young girls and girls' rights, I would say that they're a lot more similar than I think people would understand. And so I think for me, it's just going through with it with the same messaging that no matter what part of the world you're in, that girls deserve rights, girls deserve a voice, and girls deserve to have a say. And so I think that just understanding that, we're not much different, and that it's important that, even in my organization, that we are listening to the voices of young girls. I know for me, as an American coming into Kenya, one of the things I always wanted to make sure was that I was listening. We have a really great team of young Kenyan girls, and just a really great team here in Kenya, and that I'm always listening to them and making sure their voices are being heard and that they're being put at the front of everything. I think that's a big thing, is that listening. You have to just sit down and just be like, okay, I'm just going to listen to the next person, hear what they have to say. And so I think for me, it really hasn't been too much different because, the stuff I'm doing in the States versus the stuff I'm doing here in Kenya, it's all about listening to girls, hearing, what they want, what we want, and understanding that from there, the only way change is going to come is if we listen to the people around us and if we, hear what everyone else has to say.
And what inspired you?
Ooh, I think bigger picture, I love that we're talking about literacy and we're talking about books. I'm such a bookworm. I absolutely love reading. I love books. And it's actually funny as I think about, the beginning steps in my change-making journey. My parents would read books to my siblings and I before we would go to bed. And one of the books, it was a children's book, but it's still stuck with me to this day on my journey, was The Lorax by Dr. Seuss. And it's a story that talks about change-making and how the Lorax wanted to save the trees. But at the end of the book, there's a quote that says, unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing's going to get better. It's not. And even though I first heard that story, when I was 5 years old, 15 years later, that still sticks with me. And I have to understand that unless I'm the one that goes out and does something, unless I see this problem and I decide to do something about it, nothing's going to change and nothing's going to get better. And that's what I like to share with young girls, that you have to be the one. What's something that you see happening in your community, in the world, and what are you going to be to do about it? What do you want the future to look like for the girls to come? And so I think that part of it was really inspiring and something that I still hold on to this day.
Wow, that's beautiful. And isn't it amazing what foundations can do? Yeah, as a parent, whatever foundation you set for your children, you can introduce your children to books that will probably change their lives and spark a change. And that's why we're here today, International Day of the Girl Child. And, with these beautiful, amazing change makers, just a book sparked so much change in Sophia to come all the way from the States to here. And, I'm sure your organization has lots of Kenyan girls there who probably see you as their big sister, right? And that's just beautiful. And going back to you, Jean, you started a company as a young girl, and you took your old uniform, and started a company out of that. To some, that's just unimaginable, but it's grown into something bigger. And I'm sure there are challenges that you've gone through. What challenges have you faced?
I think the biggest challenge I face is unbelief in myself.
Unbelief?
Unbelief, like not believing in myself.
Really?
Yes.
Why?
Because I feel like most of the time you're scared of the future. You're scared of failure, first of all. So you can't even, you're scared of putting that one step to try this new venture or try this new situation where you've never been in and people around you have also never been there.
Yeah.
So I think that was the main challenge I faced, because it was mostly psychological. And I feel like once you break that barrier, all the other challenges you face around you are easier to handle, because in your mind you can do it. But for me, psychologically, was the first and biggest challenge I still face today, but it's something I'm conscious.
Wow. But the first step is always to do it. The first step to anything is to always do it. And we say, do it afraid. Yeah? And the light will shine. So do it afraid. That's the first step, to do it. And we'll get back to you on that. But Rebecca, you've written a book. And it's important for us to realize how impactful and how powerful your book is. Because you come from a community, and I'll reiterate this, because you come from a community where you really have to fight your way for your voice to be heard. And you've written a book. What challenges did you face? Or what challenges have you faced even after production of the book?
When I just started my work, or when I just started my progress of trying to teach people to come and help me or support me trying to fight against the environmental pollution, it was so difficult. Now that most of the people in my area are illiterate, it was so difficult trying to make them understand that we should stop polluting the environment, we should stop cutting down the trees. It was a big challenge.
Wow. And so through the book, do you go to the community with the book and read it out for them? Or how do you do it? How do you pass your message across, especially with the book?
Yeah, I walked around.
Yeah?
And read to the people and talk to them.
Okay.
Yeah, and in planting trees, I gave it an example and I did it myself.
Okay. So you show them first and then they follow
Yes,
you.
I showed them first and they followed me doing that.
Wow, so you lead by example.
Yes.
And I think that's what the society needs, leading by example. And Sophia, being in Kenya, and it's a different cultural background from what you were, brought up and raised in. How has that affected your messaging? What challenges have you faced?
I would say some of the biggest challenges I face would have to do with age. I think as a young person, I think you can really use your age to an advantage. But I think it's really easy for adults or for, peers to really not frown upon, but really think, oh wow, I was only 14 when I first came to Kenya and 15 when I started my organization. So it was a lot of, oh, you're so young, are you sure you know what you're doing? Or maybe that's not the right way to go about it. And although I feel like we have a lot to learn, from our elders and from people around us, I think it goes back to what Jean was saying about, self-doubt. I think that really took a toll on me where I got to a place oh, I don't think I can do this, I'm not experienced enough. I had to really remind myself that no, you can do this and you don't have to listen to the people that are doubting you. It's important that you understand, you have to believe in yourself, and I think that's a big part, and that's a lesson I'm still learning. I think I'm only 19 now, and it's taken 4 or 5 years for me to understand that, I am capable of whatever I set my mind to, and I can't just let a person that's, doubting me take a toll on whatever I want to do. So I think a big part of it was the age piece, and as well as the self-confidence and just believing in myself.
Wow. And that's just, it's so amazing to hear your stories and how you're also articulate about your stories at such a young age, and that's all part of your change-making journey. And I believe if you have anything within you, if you have that thing within you that, probably sparks and you believe in yourself that you can spark the change, I think you should go for it. And you can see these ladies, these young girls and how powerful their stories are. And for you, Jean, what are some of the highlights? What are some of the highlights that have been, in your change-making journey? What would you say, this has been the peak moment in my change-making journey?
I think the peak was when we were rebranding. So previously, we were called Smiles,
okay.
And now it was tied to what I was doing before about the old uniform. So we started collecting now old clothes from people around my school, and also people around my estate, and then we rebranded to now working with only the Ankara waste. And I think seeing the support not only from my parents but my peers from school, just someone sharing whatever you posted on their story. I think the first day we posted, we had 5K people who had seen our video.
Wow.
And that was just a moment where I was like, wow, you mean people actually care? People actually...
And they follow.
Yeah, they follow. And I think that was just a moment for me to be like, yes, I'm on the right path. And I'll just continue pushing through.
That's it's always so fulfilling, when you release a product and you see people liking and people sharing, and you can actually feel that this is impactful.
Yes.
And congratulations, my dear. And back to you, Rebecca, again. And I would like to clarify that the book was not written by Rebecca. It was actually authored by Worldreader and Ashoka. It's a story about Rebecca and the change she's making in her community. I'd like to apologize and clarify that. But what has been your highlight? And to imagine that Worldreader and Ashoka wrote a book about you and what you're doing. I can see the smile through your mask.
So, people around my community, my fellow students supporting my project was just amazing. Them accepting to support and me collecting petitions from them.
Yeah.
passing the petitions to my member of parliament, I felt like, oh, I'm
Wow.
going through this.
Yes.
Yeah, my story being transformed in form was like, oh,
And I hear your story has been written in 3 languages.
yeah.
Wow. How does that make you feel?
I can't explain that.
So which languages?
Oh, English,
Uh-huh.
Swahili, and Spanish.
And Spanish?
Yeah.
Do you speak Spanish?
No.
Okay. Are you going to learn? No? Oh, okay. We'll find you a Spanish tutor. But it's such a beautiful feeling, right?
Sure, it is.
Yeah? That someone actually took the time to write about you?
Sure.
It's nice, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah. Worldreader and Ashoka, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You should write more stories about Rebecca. She's so happy. She's so happy. But Sophia, and you know, you're so articulate and you're really passionate about what you do. What has been the highlight for you? Ugali maybe in Kenya?
Yeah, yes.
You love ugali?
Oh, I love ugali.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Gosh, well, I'm trying to learn how to make it. I don't know. Actually, I think there's so many to choose from. I think one of the biggest ones is like kind of figuring out what I want to do. Like I want to move back to Kenya after I graduate university, and so I think one of the cool things is like kind of figuring out what I want to do, with my life. And so my change-making journey has been a really big part of that. But I think another highlight is the people I get to meet. I think it's really easy coming from the United States to kind of get caught up in a bubble there and just to see, okay, there's young change makers in the States there. But once, I started working more with Ashoka East Africa and really learning that there's so many amazing, amazing young people that, are doing work like me, that are just like me, that I can connect with. I have so many friends from all over the world, and I think it's so cool when I get to meet other young people that, are making a difference in the world, that are making their mark on the world. And it's just, I think the people have just been one of the coolest parts, just because it's so much fun when you get to meet other young people that are, making change in their community and want to make a difference in our world.
Wow. It's just, like I said, this panel just keeps amazing me by the minute. And it's just amazing to see how you are all doing such amazing things and the highlights of, your change-making journey. And I just want to know, could you tell us more about your support system? How was it when you mentioned to your parents that you want to move to Kenya and this is what you want to do?
Yeah, it's actually funny because my mom was very much on board. My mom loved it. She was like, yes, go, you have to.
Yeah.
My dad was like, you're 14,
Nah.
you're going to Kenya, not with us, because it was with a school group. So he was just very hesitant at first because he had never been, and so he was just like, okay, I don't know about that. But when I went and I came back, and I think for me as a Black American going on the trip, it just impacted me differently. I just felt that, I'd come to Kenya and it was my first time ever coming to Africa to begin with. And I just couldn't, I was like, I just can't go back to the States and just not ever come back. So It was really exciting because after that first trip, my mom came back with me, and then my dad came back, and then my brothers and sisters came back, and then we all just kept coming back. So, Kenya really is home for me now and home for my family, and we all try to come back as often as we can. And I think my mom wants to retire here after.
Yeah.
So I think, for me, it was great that they really were supportive. It was a little bit tricky at first, but once they really saw the passion was there, they were just on board. And I'm really grateful to also have mentors that are like older brothers and sisters to me that, it's great to have your parents, but I think it's also really great to have people outside of your family that you can talk to, that are doing similar things. And I have a really great support system that took a while to build, but I really love the people that I have in my life that are there when I need them to be.
Wow. And, just like Sophia said, in this change-making journey, it's important to have mentors. And I believe we're all in spaces where we can be able to mentor a few young people and show them the right way and hold their hands. And I think it's beautiful. And speaking of Worldreaders and Ashoka, having written a book about you, my dear Rebecca, what would you say about your support system? And do you have a strong support system? Your mom, your family, maybe your friends?
So I've been fully supported by my mom. She has always been there to support in whatever way she can.
Yeah.
I've been supported by my teachers. I've been supported by my sponsors by my sponsor. Like everyone has really supported.
Everyone has
after
supported
really
you.
understanding or having the feeling that you need to do something about
Yeah.
it.
And you know, they support your journey because they understand what you're trying to do for your community. And that makes you happy. That's great. Wow. And for you, Jean, you know, having ventured into the fashion industry, what would you say about your support system?
My mom was my first support.
Yeah.
Because she was the first one who told me, write that email to the school, write to them about your idea.
Yeah.
And throughout my change-making journey, she's been there. She takes me to events. She's the one also dropped me here today. So I think she's just been a pivotal role for me. Also my schoolmates, because as we said, you can't go, if you want to go fast, you go alone, but if you want to go far, you go with people. So the team of Tabasamu is made up of 8 people from my school, my old schoolmates. And I think it's just great having a group of people around you to help you think through things and just guide you also, because you don't know everything by yourself.
Sure.
And also just the Ashoka team as well have been a great space to just help me network with people and to know or to interact with people of where I'd like to be. So when I see someone, I see, okay, I'd like to get to that, and you know, you can reach out to them,
Yeah.
and they can also offer you that mentorship. So I think that has been my support system.
Wow, that's amazing. Isn't it beautiful to hear the stories? And I'd really like to thank organizations such as Worldreaders and Ashoka for your platform, and of course for your support for young girls, you know, in the change-making journeys, because I think it is important. It is important to amplify these voices. And as we wind up, Rebecca, what advice or what would you ask the people watching out there and the audience members to support the young girls in their change-making journey? What advice would you offer to them?
I like me to say 2 things. That it's always important for us to be kind to the environment. Be kind to anything. Be kind to plants. Be kind to whatever trees. Be kind to livestock. Be kind to whoever is next to you. Always encourage a young lady. Everyone cannot always make a change. Start where you are. You can always make an impact. So everyone can help me encourage young ladies like me, young girls like me, that we can always be there. We can always make a great change. And that everything is possible as long as you have the hope, you have the courage to move forward, and the confidence.
Wow. Thank you so much, Rebecca. And to you, Sophia, what would you ask for the audience and the other people out there to support young ladies who are also, you know, who would also want to advocate for change?
Yeah, and my point, I'm crying. I'm having an allergy talk right now, so I apologize.
Oh, sorry. Sorry.
I would say just to, like I said earlier, like understanding that as much as girls, you know, are the future, understanding that we are also the present. I love to say that because I think we put such an emphasis on, you know, the next generation and Gen Z and how we're going to be the ones to make a change, but we're making a change right now. So just support us, be a resource for us, a helping hand. Excuse me. Whatever we're doing, don't try to, you know, say, oh, maybe try it this way or do it that way. Let us figure it out on our own, because I think trial and error is such a big part of it. I can't even begin to count how many times I've messed up on things or had to figure things out on my own. But I think allowing us the space to learn and grow and to even make mistakes as young people is going to be really important. So just be there as a helping hand, as a guide, so that way girls in the community need it. You can really be there to be that resource.
Wow. Thank you, Sophia. And on to my extreme right, last but not least, Jean, what would you ask the audience or the people watching out there, you know, for their support to young ladies who would also want to advocate for change, just like you?
To echo what Sophia and Rebecca have said, I think encouragement is a very strong thing, because words can really build someone.
Right.
Because once you have that idea and you just share it with, I think all of us have talked about our families or just people around us, them saying, go for it, them saying, you've got this, has been an important role and encouraged us to continue. So I think just encouraging the girls with words, and also if you're in a position where you can open another door, to allow them to get into the next space. I think that's very important.
Wow. Thank you so much, Jean. Such powerful stories, such powerful words. And I think what's really come out of this panel is that girls need encouragement. Most importantly, girls have the power. They have the light in them. They have the power. They have the ideas. So we just need more mentorship, encouragement, and more opportunities. And I'm sure there's a million girls out there, who are change makers. And thank you so much for being here. And to everybody watching at home, thank you so much for joining us online. And I hope you've been inspired, and I hope that this will be a step in your change-making journey. And to Worldreaders and Ashoka, thank you so much for organizing this. And I'd like to invite questions from the audience, maybe 1 or 2 questions.
Did you enjoy the show? Are you happy? Did you hear the amazing stories? And I'm sure from the amazing stories you must have had, 1 or 2 of you must have a question or even a comment. It's an open session for you. Thank you for this question.
Thank you. My name is Faith. I'm a journalist, but most importantly for today, I'm a mother of a young girl who's 7 years old. She couldn't make it today. I really wanted her to be here. I'm sure she would have been thrilled to hear from beautiful young girls who are changing the world. So I have a question for Rebecca. I'm sorry I missed your introduction, so please, if you don't mind, I can ask this question. I'd like to know what that turning point was for you when you said, now I have to do something about it. What was the spark? What sparked that sort of thing in your heart and mind for you? I hope my question is clear. I'm saying you are what one would say you are a warrior for climate change. What I'd like to know is what was the turning point for you that you said, I have to fight this, that I have to fight back? What made you have that courage and conviction to say that I have to make a change?
So it has always come from inside me, and I've always want to make a change. I've always want to make my people proud. I've always felt that it's really bad. I've felt like I've entered into their shoes. I've always tried to feel how they feel. Now suffering with our livestock moving away from home. My mom always trying to walk for distance, trying to get water. I've always tried to have empathy. I've always wanted from inside me to make a great change, trying to make my people at least be somewhere or have something to fully depend on. And I've always wanted to make them proud. I've always wanted to make them feel like we have someone to put us somewhere to represent us.
I think for Rebecca, I think it really comes out of a lived experience that is truthful, honest, and authentic in the fact that she's doing whatever she's doing and she's trying to represent her people because of where she comes from, and she's a trusted voice because of her lived experience. And so I guess that is what sparked her change. And I think that was a beautiful question, Faith. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that question. Wow, beautiful questions about change. Beautiful questions. Any other who has a question? Yes, please.
Hi, everyone. Hi. My name is Vanita Wanjiro. I'm a student at the University of Nairobi. I think personally, I'd not really a question, more of just a comment. Just seeing the three of you here, it reminds me when I was in high school, when I was 17 and I was a captain. And you see girls don't have like the basic needs like sanitary towels, shopping. And when I first got the purpose of the small group that I lead, I just saw the passion and the drive that I had. And now seeing you girls, it makes me so, so happy. Currently, I'm a medical social worker intern. and being at the heart of problem, at the heart of need. You guys are at the heart of need. You're meeting need, like whatever you're doing, you're taking waste and carry, you're trying to save the environment. You see the need of nature, that nature is beautiful, and for you all the way from States and coming to Kenya and seeing the need here, I think for all of us, I run by the quote, leadership is servanthood. And your leaders, your servants. I love the example that you gave, that you had to show them that this is it tree planting you're doing, right? So maybe your community did not get the essence of why should we do this, but you being a leader, you being a servant, you went ahead, you showed them. And I believe as leaders, just apart from just being servants, we should be able to learn, we should be able to take it in. And you've really inspired me even in my current job as a medical social worker intern, to be able to encourage the girls, because I am at the heart of social issues. You find somebody doesn't have proper health care, then able to get it. And at Shofco, we are at, currently we are at Kianda and Makina, and the people that come to you, people who have need, I get the opportunity to be able to tell them and talk to them, even girls that are my age, to be able to just go out there, to hold on to hope. And I truly believe in not giving up. It's never over until it's over. So thank you so much for sharing all of your stories. Thank you so much.
Wow. Thank you very much for your comments.
Questions, comments? Remember, there is no particular. Yes, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Sela Mwende. I study at Vanessa Grant Girls in Nakuru, and under the scholarship Education for All Children, and I'm in Form 4. So, Rebecca, mine is just to appreciate whatever you're doing. You're doing a great job, and I'll pray that one day I'll be like you. So I live in Kibera. So I'm in this organization encouraging some other young girls like me. It's called Beyond the Scars. So we usually meet, and we're trying, and I'm the leader for the young girls. And I'll just pray that you continue the same spirit, and you will go far. Thank you. Yeah.
Continue with the same spirit and you will go far. I want to go far with all of you. And that's why I'm walking. The microphone is coming to where you are so that we go far together, right?
Thank you so much. I am Timothy Keguta. I double up as a program officer, Beats for Education, that supports Rebecca's education. Rebecca's sponsor is Cynthia Moss, who is the director of African Trust for Elephants and a great environmentalist here in Kenya. She has studied elephants, I think, since 1970s, early 70s, and she has taken after her. She has a great mentor. Now, I want to thank Ashoka from the bottom of my heart because of our journey of change making. I am telling you, ladies and gentlemen, when I first got Rebecca, like 8 years ago, that was not the Rebecca. It was a Rebecca without self-confidence. It was a Rebecca from such a community where a girl's voice is never heard. But using Ashoka's empathy, collaboration, teamwork, and that is what has changed Rebecca and made her now to become a change maker. I thank them for that. Now, Rebecca, for those who might not understand the situation, Rebecca School, Tebe Academy, is 60 kilometers south of Nairobi, along Namaga Road. But Rebecca comes from 80 kilometers inside Maasai land, in the middle of Aboseri National Park.
Wow.
Actually, she must have started seeing elephants, hyenas, and lions when she was 2 years old. Now, when the frequent droughts that hit her land is what clicked the change making in her. The droughts that are frequent, there's a cycle. Every 8 or so years, there's a serious drought. And when she saw all her animals die, no food and nothing, she thought something must be done. And when she approached us as our teachers, as our mentors, we told her, yes, let's try to make a change. And this is the far we are. And we are hoping that we are going to go further through your help and the help of everyone else who can see the need for change. Thank you so much.
See how change making makes you a very bold person when you soldier on. Those things that you think you could not have, you have beyond even the limit that you thought you would. John.
My comment, sorry. My comment is for the young ladies who have commented, as well as the change makers who are on stage, and I think there's a whole bunch of change makers sitting behind me. As a woman in leadership, I'm sure Jambi will attest to this. We have other female leaders also sitting in this room, including you as a young leader with your organization or with your activity. What I would say to you is this: if you want a seat at the table, educate yourself. There is no shortcut.
Yes.
Educate yourself. Navigate the world through reading books. Have knowledge. I am not just speaking about academic work. That's easy. You know, you pass exams, it's no big deal. What is important is everything else that happens out there. You need to be able to articulate yourself. You need to be able to basically articulate your interests, your passions, your objectives. You need to commune with other women or other females who are either in leadership position or who are doing activities out there, because believe me, you will never be raised unless you raise another sister. So you need to work with other communities and engage with them very actively in order for you to lift yourself, but more importantly, lift the ones who are coming after you. And organizations such as the ones that are present in the room today make it possible for you to have that opportunity. So don't waste that opportunity. Educate yourself, get to be knowledgeable. You will have the right skills to allow you to navigate those spaces and those challenges. Thank you very much, Austin.
Wow, thank you. Education, information is power.
Education is power. If you want a seat at the table, what do? You educate yourself. You educate yourself.
So thank you so much. Mine is just a comment. And I want to comment from two perspectives. One of the perspectives is on the side of the girls, and the second is on the side of the library. I would want to start with the girls. One thing I've noted, and which I've really appreciated, is the fact that all what has been presented by the presenters, the ideas they started when they were very young. And to the girls outside there, mine is to say that somebody should not sit on a potential, on a dream, on an idea. Because, as we have heard, when they realized that kind of an idea, they shared that idea with their parents, as I've noted from Rebecca. And the parent was able to give her confidence and support, which she even shared it amongst other family members, the father and all that. And this she involved, even including with what we have heard about the other presenter, about the akara, that shoe, that sandal, whatever idea. This, they also shared it across their respective schools with the teachers. So mine, what I'm commenting from that is that if you have an idea with you, don't sit on it. Share it with others, involve others within the family, community and also to the community outside there who have the resources to support these ideas. I think we are encouraging that you support girls who have such ideas so that they bring on board those ideas so that they can be able to benefit so many people within the communities. Second is on the library, like the KNLS. We have been a change maker in quite a number of ways. And to start with, even starting with the presenters, even my colleague here, when he started, or now the library built him, changed him when he was a small boy. Libraries are drivers of change. They are drivers of change, catalysts to change. Even what we heard from the stories about where libraries started, this KNLS is not the KNLS of 1960s when it was started, 1970s and 1980s, 1990s. We have evolved over the years. And we have a very good ambience, a lot of nice spaces where young ones have come and they have been changed in their lives. Even we have gone beyond how people used to perceive libraries to be places just of books, those physical books, where you come interact with a book. We have gone electronic. We have also in our libraries also interacted and introduced the young ones, girls and boys and the youth, to also develop other skills outside what they can learn from the physical book. Even across our libraries, we are imparting a lot of skills to the young ones. Computer skills, public speaking skills, and even in the side of the perspective of the heart. So we are saying that library is also playing a catalytic role in the change maker idea in a spectrum of fields. That is just my comment.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think it's really true. I just want to make that comment in terms of the library being relevant until now and also beyond. Just when we were preparing for this, John, I just learned from one of my relatives. So 2 of my nieces just registered for this particular library, I think 3 days ago. So library still remains very relevant. So from Njambi, that was really nice, great, conversation you steered there. So there are two things that I've picked and I wanted just to highlight. One is that no one will give you that freedom to go out and step up into your bigness. No one is going to give you that. So you have to give yourself the permission to do it. And I like the fact that, Jean and Sophia, I think also Rebecca, you mentioned how you struggled with this self-confidence. And it's good because no one gave it to you. At some point you figured it out and you gave yourself a permission to go out and start doing what you're doing. So congratulations for that. And then the other thing that also has come out really powerful is when you are changing something, you only get to know you're changing something fundamental when you're coming against, let's say, opposition. The people who don't want things to change. Either they're not aware, lack of knowledge, or just resistance. But what, Rebecca, you shared in your story, and I think all of you have mentioned this, which is really beautiful and really important, is that you don't need to position yourself to run roughshod over people who are opposing you. You need to find tactful ways to bring them on board. I mean, just trying to imagine a young girl. Maasai community is one of the most patriarchal communities, I think. You can imagine being able to, having that ability to talk to the men, and them to listen to you, to your dad. I think that's something really, really commendable. So you give yourself the permission and win people over, not try to run roughshod over them, don't force them. Lastly, after I had quoted Angela, and I don't know, no one asked me, who is Angela? But somebody texted me, so who is Angela you're talking about? So I need to make this correction. That was Maya, Angelo Maya. So what we usually do, we always say that, probably she was Angela and then she changed her name. But then, finally, because of books, John, I don't know if you probably, because you've also read a lot, I don't know if you know this. I am forgetting the name of the writer. But one of the quotes that I ever wrote down when I was still young, from this library. I can't remember the writer, and it was one of those books that were not for kids, but I just stumbled upon. There's this lady, she's a famous writer, and now I think I'll need to spend time over the weekend to find her. She says, the next biggest thing or important thing, I think, to human beings are books. So that is how powerful it was for me. I wrote it down and stuck it. So while people were sticking so many other things for me, that was the thing that I stuck on my wall, and it stayed with me. So I think quite impactful lessons we're learning. And lastly, is just like adults, parents, let us understand that things have changed. Things have really changed, and they're changing very fast. And so it's upon us. And what Sophia was saying, it's not about talking about the next generation. It's now. That young kid, your 7-year-old, even less, start building them to understand what empathy is all about. Start building them to understand what teamwork is all about. Start building them to understand that they can step up and problem solve. Start, working with them collaboratively, so that then they also get to a point where they understand that change making is a complementary skill, and it's a much needed skill with literacy and all that going forward. Otherwise, you have professionals who are not equipped for their future, and that will be toward a disadvantage. We need to outmatch the challenges with solutions. Thank you.
Wow. Oh, there's one more question at the back.
They are very beautiful questions. As Vincent was speaking, then he's talking about you need to think about somebody who you're going to impact change. I already have two. How many do you have? How many do you have? Think about it. Think about it as you take this question.
She's
up there, then you come down, okay?
Mine is not really a question. It's really a comment and an appreciation to Ashoka for what they are doing, creating an ecosystem where they can bring the change makers, and for us to be able to share their story. I'm really inspired by the simplicity of the stories of the three girls and the changes they have been able to effect by simply just doing small things, but being reflective of those things. I want to appreciate also the role of mentorship in the whole thing, that they just didn't do it alone, they went to an adult, and the adult showed them the way. I would also like really to emphasize, I run an organization, Education for All Children. We provide scholarships and a leadership program to girls and boys, that change can happen. Yes, girls are simple, and girls think simply. And their simplicity makes a very big difference in our communities. So we are leaders from under there, and we effect change that is really transformative. But if there has to be effective change, we also have to remember to include the boys. So today, this morning, I came with 3 girls and 2 boys, so that also the boys can learn to tell their story. One of the girls here said she wants to be like Rebecca in the future, but she's already doing something. How does she appreciate what she is doing and even the change that it is effecting? So I want to thank Ashoka for creating this particular space, that they can listen, that you can be able to write your story. And you can look at your story and what it is doing in the community. It might be very small, but it is the small thing. I like what Yunus said, that, a drop, many drops will make a river eventually. Yeah? It's the small changes that we are all making that is going to make the river that is going to flow through Kenya and change our communities. Tembea, we have wondered a lot. What is the role of a school in creating that leader? And we can see what Tembea has done in creating that confidence in Rebecca, that she can be able to effect a small change. So we can also ask ourselves collectively, what can we do? Even as we have girls in our houses and boys in our houses, that they can be reflective of what they do and see it as the contribution to the change that we need in our community. So thank you so much, Ashoka, for creating this space and telling us that everyone is a change maker.
seated there, moderating a session, and we are all listening to you is nothing short of a miracle.
Thank you.
Number two, I've listened to Jean, I've listened to Rebecca, and I've listened to Sophia. And the one thing that is very resounding for me as a girl, woman, transitioning, is we can achieve anything we want to achieve as that specific gender without necessarily being so pseudo-aggressive or without losing our femininity. Number three is that, and I think Madam Joanne Mwachi has spoken about this in so many words, but it's the same statement, that the older women or the older sisters can or should offer a piggyback ride to those ones that are coming after us, because we are not in competition. We are all working towards the same thing. So those were my comments. I didn't have a question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Offer a piggyback ride to those who are coming behind you. And I'm looking at you as a change maker, and I want to believe that there's somebody who right behind you is being mentored by you as not just somebody who is just taking over once you're gone, but somebody who is going to become greater than you. What the Bible has taught me in the past is that your neighbor is more important than you.
So, hi.
Hey.
My name is Wycliffe. I'm a student at IFAC. I'm in Form 3 back at Nakuru. First of all, to thank you for this event. Thank you for hosting us here. We have learned a lot. To the people at the stage, thank you. You are really doing a good job. My question to Rebecca. So far, you have written a story about climate change, and you are trying to show your people the importance of caring for the environment. My question is this: how are the people reacting to the change that you are trying to show? Are they being supportive, or are they demotivating you? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. So at first, it was so difficult to make them understand. And having shown them the example, they have tried to follow it. And now they're seeing the benefits of that. They're seeing the benefits of planting trees, and they're really supporting, they're helping, they're keeping on with the example of planting trees. And everyone is now on the move of planting trees and trying to avoid polluting the environment.
So, is there any other question?
Yeah, we have one more question.
Oh, there's actually a lady right there, before you run across to Sosi. Oh, was that? No? The lady
Question
with
on
the
this
head
side?
there? Oh, no.
Okay, so the question on that side, then our panelists, I'll kindly, after the question, ask you to remove your masks for the photography session, okay?
All right.
Right.
Hi.
Hi.
My name is Soila Mayani, but you can also call me Sosi. I work at Trace Eastern Africa, and mine is more of a comment. The feedback that I receive from each and every question and your panel and the panelists themselves, it reminds me of what my mom always used to say to me. Aim to live and not survive, because you have no idea of the impact that you have. Saving the environment, educating people about what your mission is, you have no idea of the impact that you want to do onto people until you do it. So, yeah.
Thank you, Soila. Thank you very much for your comment. I guess that brings us to the end of the question.
Hoping I'm not leaving anyone out in 3, in 2, in 1, in 0.25, 0.1, 0.009. Okay, thank you very much, audience, for the beautiful comments, beautiful questions. I'm very much inspired that today I woke up and I saw Rebecca, and one of the people in the audience says that she wants to be Rebecca.
Right.
That's my key takeaway today. That's my key takeaway, that change making as a process has made part of the audience to want to be the person doing the change. So I'm very sure after this, the two of you are going to become great friends, if not already great friends, okay? So this is to thank you very much for being part of our conversation today. I really enjoyed myself. I really learned from what's going on in from Washington, D.C., what's going on from UON, what's going on from Tembea Academy, what's going on from the audience. It's good to even share with what you're doing. I think you're one of our students there, one of our staff here from Trace, and of course our friend who wants to be like Rebecca. It's great seeing all of you. KNLS, thank you very much for the journey you've walked, and I think Vincent has given a very good testimony about what the library has made of him, including what he was told that if he's looking for a good girl, this is where he begins, right? And I think that's a nice anecdote to even take away from here. Thank you so much. Brian, where's Brian? Brian, please come and invite us now towards the end of the ceremony. And after the ceremony is over, I'm thinking that the team, the panel, our guests, from the library, from Ashoka, from Worldreader, we can remain behind for photography. And for the audience, I encourage you to interact. Please take a few contacts here and there. Meet new people, talk to people, shake hands. Tell us who you are if you need to tell us that. And we are going to have a very beautiful end of the ceremony. Remember we said that how we walked in here is not the same way you walk out. I repeat, how we walked in here is not the same way we walked out. So we shall remain the panel. And our guests, Brian, over to you.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, could we kindly just get another round of applause? Honestly. The lovely ladies in front of us have done, an amazing job inspiring us today, sharing the change maker stories. Are you inspired? Yes. Do you feel like you're a change maker?
Yes.
Yeah? So let's start, acting as change makers. So we're going to take a moment, right, for our guests of honor to get a photo. Beautiful smiles. Kindly let's, round of applause, tafadhali. Round of applause. Thank you so much. It's normally unfortunate when I get to do this and Vincent takes the mic before I do, because when he does that, he says everything that I want to say. I had my notes written down and then Vincent went ahead and just said it all. I wonder how he does this. But for me, it's really an honor to be in the presence of change makers. This is happening 2 days before the International Day of the Girl Child, and we are celebrating young change makers who are leading change. Ladies, they are a true testament that change making can start young, and we should inspire young people to start change making at an early age. If you don't know, some of these ladies are 16, we've had 17, we've had 18, we've had 19. It's really inspiring to have, these people with us and these young change makers with us. The objective of today, if you allow me to read, as the change makers get their moment of fame, of today was to amplify the voice of the girl change maker. And indeed, our guests today have done that, isn't it? The second objective for today was to shine a light on the reading culture. And today marks the launch of Rebecca's Change Maker story. Kindly just download that app and read her story. It's an inspiring story, a story of a young girl who started change within her community. And right now we have her on stage with us. Another objective was to to showcase the power of a community service. I think KNLS being, our host today, Worldreader setting this platform for us, and Ashoka bringing change makers together, and from the young change makers who've been with us today, we are seeing what the power of community can do, right? We can begin a movement of change making. And it starts here, it starts with us, right? We've had Vincent say that we need to give ourselves the permission to lead change and to become change makers. We are launching Rebecca's The Maasai Changemaker English and Kiswahili book. So if you're yet to read that book, please download the Worldreader app, if I'm not mistaken, and check search for her book. It's really inspiring. And there are several stories that Ashoka and Worldreader have captured of young change makers globally. And these stories have been translated to various languages. Rebecca's story is in English, it's in Kiswahili, and it's in Spanish. So pick your choice and read. Enjoy reading. Lastly, we're exploring the human interest angle to make news. Indeed, this is a wonderful event, and thank you everyone for being here. It's an honor just to be in the presence of change makers and marking this day 2 days earlier. I think we're ushering the International Day of the Girl Child in style, because we have young change makers who are actually showing that indeed young girls can lead change, right? And as you can see, just right behind me, Worldreader says, creating a world of everyone a reader. Yeah? Can be a reader. And Ashoka, everyone can be a change maker. We can do this together. And KNLS is creating this space for all this to happen. So thank you, KNLS. Thank you, Ashoka. Thank you, Worldreader. And obviously, Trace. I was getting there. Don't kill me. Because Trace is Ashoka's partner and also Worldreader's partner. And as we were told before, you're amplifying stories of change makers, starting with you. Thank you so much for having the courage to step on stage to lead this conversation, to create a space for other young girls to share their stories, because it has been powerful. I believe that you are a change maker and you continue being a change maker. Ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of this session, and I really want to appreciate you for your time. If you wish, you can take your seats, but if you also wish, we can just stay there. Nice. So it's your choice. And I apologize for not having drinks on stage. The photo. Sorry. So would you kindly step on stage and let us have a photo, right?
Yes.
Sorry? Oh, yes. Without the masks?
So please help us on the order of coordinate the photography, please, for us. Thank you. For the book download, please look at